All right, everyone, welcome to the show today. Today, I have the pleasure of being joined by Bob Samuels, co founder and CEO of Tech Connector. Bob, thanks for joining me, man.
Hey, happy to be here, Billy. How are you
Yeah,
today?
I'm excited. I'm excited. This will be a fun conversation. But before we get into it, for people that don't know you and don't know about Tech Connector, give us a little intro to who Bob Samuels is and what you guys do at Tech Connector.
Sure. Thank you for asking. So, I co-founded Tech Connector about 4 years ago. I'm a finance guy from way back. I graduated with a accounting degree. I have a CPA, 20 years of accounting and budgeting and analysis and so forth. And then I about 20 years ago, I got into the B2B lead gen space. I
Okay.
joined a company called Netline, which is still around today. It was a young puppy then. Now it's a 20-year-old company, but it was very smart. And we did lead gen early on. We did content syndication, which is a little bit different than now. Now things have changed quite a bit in the last 20 years,
Yeah.
and I can share with you about that. But we did lead gen for B2B. We started off with getting qualified subscribers for controlled circulation publications. So we would work with magazines like real magazines, like remember they used to print them and
Yeah.
print them in dead trees and
Yeah, I used to get my Outdoor Life and my Sports Illustrated in the mail, and no more.
no more, no more. So we worked with Info World and tech magazines and getting them subscribers that are qualified and through the internet. And then we switched where some of the advertisers in the magazines like Oracle or SAP or whatever said, hey, if you can get qualified subscribers for these guys can you get us qualified uh, prospects? And
Okay.
so we started promoting white papers and syndicating, getting people to sign up for webinars and so forth. And
Ah,
that we got into so my job, I switched from being the CFO to being head of performance because I didn't want to sit in the back and count beans.
yeah.
I wanted to be in the front and affect revenue and affect performance. And so I made that shift pretty early on, and I've enjoyed doing that ever since. And so I left. I was there about 10 years. Went to Salesify, which got bought by Ziff Davis,
Hmm.
some other big B2B lead gen companies, and I was in charge of performance. Partnerships. Actually, before that, I was at Quinn Street, which is a B2B publisher, and we did lead gen and accounting. Display advertising for tech marketers. So I was in charge
Okay.
of partnerships there. And so by being involved with partnerships, I got to learn who the key players are, and
Yeah.
so who are the other big smart lead gen companies, and I'd partner with them, and they would help me fulfill campaigns. I could help them, and so forth. So with Tech Connector, we founded it 4 years ago. It's a fully transparent, best of breed marketplace of lead gen solution providers and data providers, because we're finding more and more that data and intelligence is super important. So
Yeah.
we're merging that quite a bit. And so we have a marketplace of over 100 different lead gen companies, publishers, um, and email marketing companies and telemarketing companies and data providers and so forth. And we help clients figure out who to work with. And subsequent to that, we developed a platform where we can manage campaigns. So everything from figuring out, the targeting to putting together a request for proposal, sending it out, selecting the different solution providers, communicating with them, managing the campaigns, and then dealing with the leads and validating them and scoring them and verifying and routing and all that stuff. So
Awesome.
yeah, so it's been fun.
Yeah, no, that sounds like fun. So, what we wanted to talk about, hey, what are we going to talk about if we do this podcast? And like right off the top, you were just like actionable intelligence, and I love the topic because just as you mentioned, data and intelligence is becoming more and more important in the marketing and sales function. But I get, I'd say at least five, if not 10 emails a day with people trying to sell me intent data or a list or some type of information for our marketing and sales team. And, usually I just mark it as junk because it doesn't seem that legit. And I feel like there's a lot of noise. Everyone says, oh, we've got the right data for you. Now, if you have the right data, it's gold. But I feel like most people, it's not telling a whole story. So to you, what is actionable intelligence?
Yeah, that's a great question. And like you said, that the new buzzword these days is intent data, right? And
Yeah.
I always put my air quotes with it because it means different things to different people, and how valuable is it is it's questionable, quite frankly, a lot of it. But conceptually, I love the concept of learning and being smart about who you reach out to.
Yep.
Figuring out who's it best to, you might as well talk to people that are valuable to talk to rather than just randomly pick people. So doing your homework and figuring out. So part of the intelligence is the market intelligence, and some of it's competitive intelligence, and some of it's account intelligence, and some of it's down to the very specific person that you're going to be dealing with. So whoever was dealing with you with all those emails, they may not have done a great job of targeting you, or
Yeah.
personalizing it, because if they did, they could have said, hey, listen, I know about you, and I know what you do, and I know your target audience is, and I know, what their challenges are, and I can help you reach them, maybe. And here's this data that can help you, or whatever. But to me, there's data is just junk to me. It's just points of information, and there's bunches of it, and you can get choked and die from it because it's just overwhelming. But if you can make sense out of it, then you have intelligence, and so you can cluster it, and you can figure out patterns, and you can figure out outliers and so forth. And then if you can, and then if you can make the intelligence useful, where you can actually do something with it and actually um, you know affect your sales pipeline, which is really my clients, that's what their purpose is, then that's the best thing. So if we can help them take their intelligence and triangulate it or validate it against third-party information, we can help them figure out what's the right messaging they should put out to different aspects, to different audiences. Help them figure out what audience is best to go after, and what should they be talking about, because what are the pain points, or what are the challenges for those people, based on, and again, the usually intelligent, the intent data out there, it's often like what people read. Maybe if I read an article 6 months ago on something, then that's it. But it's like, it's old news right now. I'm
Yeah.
over that, maybe. And so, and I read lots of things, and so what? And a lot of the intelligence is not down to the specific person. It's only down to an IP address. So that someone at that company, at that IP address, read some article about this, but it may have been the chief bottle washer that read it, not necessarily the people that really want to talk about. So
Yeah.
being able to get the intelligence down to the specific people is more actionable. If you can get it down to the specific company of what their needs are, it's more actionable. If it's just in information, it's okay, but it's not something that can be turned into sales or active prospects.
Yeah. How do you suggest like getting it down to, hey, this is the person or the department that you actually care about is doing this research? Because like we just brought a couple new sales guys on. One had been using an intent data tool at his previous job, and he said, you know what, I always found it was a couple steps behind. Like if it said like this company's probably buying, like they've already bought, like they
Right.
already bought with somebody. But how do you get it down to knowing like this is the right person or the right group of people showing this intent?
Right, exactly, and it's pretty tricky. So we work with a company called Avira Insights. They're a market research firm, kind of like Gartner,
Okay.
and so they'll do first party surveys. They'll do first party interviews, and they'll actually talk to prospects. They'll talk to customers. They'll talk to competitors. They'll talk to market makers, and they'll figure out what are people talking about, what are the challenges, and so forth. And they'll do surveys and gather a lot of information direct from the audience that's of interest.
Awesome.
And so just getting it to, and then sitting down to talk to people, I guess is that's one way to do it. But there's databases out there that they probably sent you emails. But
Yeah.
there's information on different people and titles and so forth, but I don't generally go with that. It's more
Okay. Okay.
marketing.
Now, a lot of ABM marketing seems to like at least expound like some level of intent included in their products. But what do you think about ABM marketing, Bob?
Well, I mean, as far as ABM's another a big buzzword, right? So
Yeah.
it's 80s days, but big data was a big buzzword a way back, and cloud and so forth. So now it's intent data and ABM. So ABM it's a new buzzword, a newer, but it's old. It's basically target accounts, named
Yeah.
accounts. That's all, and that's been around since way before it was called ABM. But basically, I think it's smart to go after the right accounts, and the ones that have the highest propensity for success. And so, what does that mean? And so you can get into analysis of, so do they have enough money to spend? Are they the right? Are they the right audience? Are they the right? What are they currently using? So all of that information. But the bottom line is, I think ABM, to go after named accounts or lookalikes, if you will, target accounts is a smart thing to do, because it's a lot better to go after the companies that you've identified as being worthwhile than not. And so it's a good idea. It's overused sometimes. It's and there's different tools. People think that if you buy certain technology, then you'll have your ABM solution, which is a mistake. I mean, it's not something that'll work like that. Most of the work is up front, and most of it is boring. But it's the research, it's the intelligence up front first, figuring out what to go after and so forth, and then putting together the proper messaging. The messaging needs to be very specific to that person, ideally, that it resonates with them. And it makes sense for them, and it's the right timing and so forth. So again, I attribute a lot of the success of that to be the upfront intelligence.
Yeah. No, I think ABM, like it sounds like what you're saying is it's only part of the solution to really selling this, and and I agree with you. Like it's good to do, but when I've been talking to people and even our own customers, like they've got an ABM solution, but it seems that there's often a disconnect between marketing and sales on ABM. Have you found that in your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and when marketing and sales speak well, it works out really well, because they can complement each other, because the salespeople are talking to people on the ground. Marketing is generally more general, but getting more of a picture of the big picture of the whole market and the competitors and so forth. And then the sales is more very specific, down to very specific cases. They each have their perceptions and their filters, but put together, it's a very nice story where you can validate a lot of the market information with real life cases of the clients, and likewise can validate the feedback from the salespeople about the clients with the general market. So if you can, and then if you can combine that with third party intelligence, then you can really make a nice story out of all of those pieces.
I like it, man. I like it. So what do you think the current state of B2B lead gen is, and where are things headed?
Well, back in the day, again, 20 years ago. So back then it was just content syndication. You put content out there, and whoever grabbed it, you would get, and you would filter out most of them, because you don't really want most of those people, probably.
Yeah.
Today it's more targeted. Usually it's you send out emails or telemarketing, whatever, and you're only reaching the people you want. And then so you're not filtering out the people you don't want, because you're starting with the people that you want. They don't necessarily want you, but
Yep.
that's what you need to get to, and you need to so ideally you can figure out who you want, figure out what they want, and explain to them why they should be wanting you. So that's, the using that intelligence is where I think it needs to head. The other side of lead gen today is there's a race to the bottom as far as price, because general lead gen is kind of a commodity, and it's
Yeah.
just, everybody's doing it now. Everybody can do it, and then there gets to be a price, race to the bottom, and then race to the bottom potentially as far as quality too. So we're trying to change that and go race to the top as far as quality goes, and the prices, cost per lead may be higher, but the cost per opportunity and the cost per sale is going to be much lower. So we're wanting to. I'm hoping that the industry will want to change from measuring measuring performance on a cost per lead basis and move toward a cost per opportunity, because if you can deliver only opportunities, the cost per is going to be much higher, but overall it's going to be a much lower cost in general. Plus, you're not dealing with a lot of the crap, so you don't have expenses dealing with the bad leads, if you are the
Yeah.
bad path. So the more targeted it can be, then it can warrant a higher price.
I like it, man. I'm more than willing. I think almost any business leader is more than willing to pay for a real sales op as opposed to just leads. Your sales guys will be the first ones to tell you these leads suck, whether that's true or not.
That's right.
They'll be the first ones to say, yeah, these are not good leads, whether coming from your own team or somebody else. So, I love it, Bob, dude. This has been really insightful. Tell me, if people want to get a hold of you and continue the conversation, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Oh, great. So I have my LinkedIn. If we can share it, you want me to talk? So so Bob Samers on LinkedIn, Bob at techconnector.com, at Tech Connector, Twitter, all works.
Yeah, and you guys usually put on a monthly webinar.
I was going to say, so we host the ABM Leaders Group, and
Yeah,
it's a nice thing, similar to what you do, I think. So it's a great way. It's talking to people that are really smart in marketing, and it gives people a chance to share best practices and share ideas. And it started off with the pandemic and just everybody helping each other out, getting through it. And it's been really good. People love to share. We had earlier this month, we had Bill Doyle from SAP, Leslie from Avanti, Erica from Cisco, and Angel from Gigamon. And so they had a great time, and they learned a lot, they shared a lot, and the audience learned too. So it's called ABM Leaders Group, and I'll be glad to hook people up to that. I'll invite you to join and be part of a panel discussion, and maybe have an interview like this. I think they're both worthwhile.
yeah, love to do it. And I've watched a couple of the panels. They're good. Anybody interested in learning ABM or just getting some more exposure to what people are thinking about, hop on, give it a watch. It's a great resource you guys provide. So with that, Bob, thank you so much, and we'll chat later.
Excellent, Billy. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.